I'm in London, the sun is shining, and I'm here to do a tag video. Apologies for any camera wobbling, the tripod is perched precariously on the bed, and I'm also sitting on the bed. But in order for me to have an acceptable background, I have to be sitting here, at least for the time being. So this is the if you liked this tag. It's pretty self-explanatory. This book tag was created by Jen Campbell, who is one of my favourite booktubers, and I'm meeting her on Monday, which is very exciting. Okay, so the first book is Just Kids by Zadie Smith. This one is pretty popular on booktube and, you know, in the general bookosphere. It follows Zadie Smith's career from when she first moved to New York up until later on in life, but it also follows her friendship and love affair with Robert Mapplethorpe. So the book that I'm going to recommend is Zami, A New Spelling of My Name by Audre Lorde. I read this around a similar time that I read Just Kids, and they had a quite similar tone. I think it's because both of these books are impeccably written. The writing is just lyrical and natural, and it doesn't feel self-conscious at all. I would say that in some ways Audre Lorde's is more complex. You've got issues of race and sexuality in there as well, and I feel that this book is too often overlooked. So the next popular book is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. My suggestion for those who like this book is The Chimes by Anna Smale. Like Station 11, this is set in a dystopian future, but in this case it's set in a world where people's thoughts and actions are controlled by this musical instrument. The reason that I pair these two together is that they have a lot of themes that you find in contemporary YA books, but they're written for an adult audience. The Chimes is very lyrical, very slow paced to start with, and it does really interesting things with language. Where Station 11 has lots of influences from Shakespeare and literature, The Chimes takes its influences from music, and so there are lots of musical terms, lots of different instruments mentioned. I think that this would appeal to a lot of people on booktube. So if you enjoyed Ruth Ozeki's A Tale for the Time Being, I think that you would enjoy The Incarnations by Susan Barker. It has some of the magical realism elements in it that A Tale for the Time Being does. It's also about two characters. They're sort of supposed to be together, or they have this connection over distance. The main parts of both of these novels are set in the present day, but then there are these layers of history that get uncovered. And in The Incarnations we have these letters which are written with stories, and they're about the same people, but they're reincarnated in different bodies, and it's about how history repeats itself. It's a marvellous book, and I hope more people will read it. Alrighty, next up is The Time Traveller's Wife, a very popular book. The book that I recommend for fans of this is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This has the time travel element, it also has the love story element, but on top of this it has this theme of slavery, and so it deals with issues about race. For this reason it's a bit darker and a bit grittier than The Time Traveller's Wife. It was written before the internet as well, which makes it quite interesting. It's a really interesting book, and I feel like in many ways it does a lot more than The Time Traveller's Wife does. The final book that I'll mention here is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Zadie Smith. So if you enjoyed this, you will most likely also enjoy Zami, A New Spelling of My Name by Audre Lorde, which I mentioned earlier. You'll probably also like Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson, which has many of these themes of growing up. And the other thing that it reminded me of, particularly because of the themes of poverty, was Owls Do Cry by Janet Frame. This is a semi-autobiographical novel, and it deals with a lot of issues, particularly poverty and mental health. It's another coming-of-age story, and it follows a few different characters. It's also set in New Zealand by a New Zealand author, so if you want to read a New Zealand modern classic, then that would be a good place to start. So I'm going to leave it at that today, but I do have many more suggestions up my sleeve, so if you want me to do another one of these videos, please let me know in the comments below and I will get on to that. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!